Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again. My name is Tawana Rivers. This is the 10K Project, and we are joined again this week by another amazing founder who is doing wonderful things in his city. And so we wanted to highlight today Mr. Michael De Los Santos, and we're excited to hear about what he's doing over at Mike D's Barbecue. We just were talking offline on how the pictures on IG look fire, and we all trying to figure out how we can get to Raleigh, Durham to get some of this barbecue. So while we try to figure that out, we're going to go to the campaign page, show you guys how to invest in this opportunity after you hear everything about it. For those of you here with us in Zoom, as you know, we'll be putting the link in the chat throughout the evening so that you can have it. This campaign is on Mainvest. We've been here a couple of times before. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but I'm going to just go over the deal terms at a high level. So this investment multiple is a 1.6, 100 minimum investment, $100 minimum investment. And the total so far invested is $14,000. There are 10 days remaining to this particular campaign. As I stated, Mike D's is in Durham. It's a barbecue joint, but it is not just a barbecue restaurant, right? And Mike's going to tell you all about everything else that they have done in the past and they want to do in the future. Remember to read through the entire campaign page, right? So that you can have all of the information that will help you decide if this fits in your portfolio. All right. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. And Mike, I am going to turn this over to you, sir, so you can tell us all about yourself and tell us how you started with barbecue and what was it about being a pit master that intrigued you? And please just take us on a journey of how Mike D's became one of the best places to get barbecue in this country.
All right. Thanks for having me on. Good evening, everybody from around the country. I'm Michael Dos Santos. Most people just call me Mike D. Here in Durham, North Carolina. Before I kind of get into sort of some numbers about how we've done over the last 10 years, kind of just going to give you some of the background story of Mike D's Barbecue, how we started, how we got here. Our story really begins when I was growing up in Richmond, Virginia. And in high school, my first job was working on a food truck. And this is back before food trucks were like a thing. Right now, food trucks are everywhere. 20 something years ago, that was not the case. And so um, the man who ran that food truck was a former city council member in Richmond, Virginia. And we used to get into debates when I was 16 about, um, barbecue and how to make it properly. And I just knew he was making it wrong. Uh, and so one day he said, "Well, if you're so right about this, I'm gonna let you do all of this one day. You do all the cooking, and then one day I'm just gonna drop you off, and I'll come back and pick up the trailer at the end of the night." So he did that. Took that challenge. He did that. At the end of the night, when he came back, all his regular customers were like, "Anthony, you need to let Mike do the cooking from now on, and just let him run the food truck." So that was kind of when I first kind of got the bug about food service and how food, make people happy and bring people together. But at that time, Richmond, Virginia was not like a hotbed of barbecue. I mean, if you go to Richmond now, there's some good barbecue joints, but there wasn't back in the 90s and early 2000s. And so it wasn't until my family at the church we were going to at that time, a lot of them were from North Carolina. So I used to drive down to this town called Roanoke Rapids, which is about 2 hours south of Richmond, to eat barbecue at this place called Ralph's Barbecue. And the first time I walked in that place, I could just smell the vinegar, you smell the pork. It was an amazing experience for me. And to eat that barbecue, you see people just how happy they were, how like different demographics of people who were sitting in that restaurant eating barbecue from the buffet. And then when they would leave, go and buy it by the pound, take it back home with them because they knew they weren't coming back for a while. That was really kind of my introduction to like food as like a community builder, and how it can bring people from all walks of life together, like put the differences aside around good food. That was the first time I ever really saw that, and so that kind of stuck with me. So when I left the food space and I went into college and went and did my early career in the nonprofit world, working on monetary policy and affordable housing and bank accountability stuff. Building community and trying to help folks in unserved communities is kind of a part of who I was and what I was working on. And I used to use barbecue as like a way to de-stress on the weekends. I mean, I've been around policy and all that stuff can get really stressful. And so I kind of taught myself how to smoke meats, taught myself how to run a smoker, did all that stuff so that way I could de-stress on the weekends. And during that process, I started making sausage and rubs just because I was looking for a way to combine sort of the Hispanic part of my heritage. My dad's from the Dominican Republic, with some flavors from like traditional African American flavors. And at that time, if you're going to Texas, going a lot of places now, like Tex-Mex barbecue, like this real thing, where they're trying to incorporate Hispanic stuff into barbecue. But at that time, it wasn't a thing. And so I was trying to figure out a way to bring that to market. I kept having all these reasons why I shouldn't do it because I'm a policy analyst, not a business person. And so I always had excuses of why I couldn't do it. I would throw these big cookouts and have people come over and I would feed everybody and have them try all the different sauces and rubs. And people kept saying, that you should sell this, you should sell this. Um, I entered one of the early versions of my sauce into an amateur sauce making competition and ended up winning second in the division I was in and third overall. And that was the first time people outside of my immediate circle um, told me that I had a good product. So I still was trying to like find ways to not do it because, again, I'm not a business person. Um, and then life kind of had some challenges for us. My wife and I had a child in 2011. His name was Aaron. He was born with a heart condition called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. So half of his heart didn't never develop. So he was born with basically with half a heart. Um, uh, as soon as he was born, he was taking his first heart surgery. They're doing open heart surgery on a heart that's the size of a strawberry at that moment. And he lived exactly 6 months. He endured, three different heart surgeries and a bunch of other surgeries. Basically, lived all but 3 weeks of his life in the hospital. Um, and after he passed, I struggled for a while. I held him as he took his last breath and his heartbeat for the last time. And just, I struggled for a long while. And one of the things I started to reflect on, just kind of like how he couldn't talk, he couldn't do anything, but he fought as hard as he could to live. Like he tried until he couldn't try it anymore. And if he could do that without, being able to verbalize or do anything, then, I should be able to fight for things I want to fight for and pursue my dreams and not make excuses. And so I'm looking for a way to honor him and honor his memory. And that's how Mike D's Barbecue came about. So he passed away in May of 2012. And in December of 2013, I officially launched Mikey's Barbecue LLC. In 2014, we started to sell our first product, which was our all-purpose dry rub. And then later that year, we started selling our first sauce, which was Big Sauce. And it's named Big Sauce because in the nonprofit world, everybody knew that I was a barbecue guy, so people just started calling me Big Sauce. So that's what I named the first product. And it was challenging, in the South, everybody's got a barbecue sauce. Everybody thinks their sauce is the best sauce. Um, and so trying to find capital was a challenge because everybody's like, banks are like, no, we're not trying to lend to sauce companies because there's too many of y'all, try to scale too fast and then fail and we don't get our money back. So we faced some challenges there, but we always had a plan to build small, right? Not try to scale it real quick. So I originally just started selling out the trunk of my car. I would keep sauce in my car, and if I was in a grocery store or somewhere and I'd see someone looking at barbecue sauce, I would try to get them to come out to my car to buy sauce. So for someone like me who's an introvert, that was really a challenge. But the first time I did it, I felt really good. Like I was in a Food Lion grocery store on the barbecue sauce aisle and saw somebody couldn't make up their mind. And I was like, I got this sauce that you should try. And they're like, where at? I said, well, you got to come outside to my car. Uh, and they're like, okay, I'll come. And they came out there, they tasted a sample of it, and they bought 3 bottles. And I was like, you know, I felt really good. That was my first sale, and that's the first time I had convinced somebody to come out of the grocery store to my car to buy some sauce. And so that kind of gave me some confidence. And we started doing like small farmers markets, and we grew from there and started doing larger markets and festivals. Then we started traveling up and down the East Coast, doing shows. a lot of direct consumer shows and events, as well as building our e-commerce side. So we were selling online as well, mostly just through word of mouth, not really doing the marketing. And then we started a social media campaign trying to get a customer, uh, started trying to get a customer in all 50 states. And basically use social media to do that. So we had people like tagging their friends and family in all the states that we hadn't reached. So we had like a map that we would color in and update social media. And so it took us about 3 months and we ended up having a customer in all 50 states. And so we kept pushing that. And so now we have sauce customers in all 50 states and 12 countries. We've shipped as far away as Ukraine and New Zealand. We've shipped sauce. And so we have retail partners in about 27 states and Canada. So we were growing that sauce business as best we could. We took a little pivot where we actually got onto a TV show that aired on the Discovery Channel. So that was a real interesting process. We had started doing casting for the show back in 2018. I didn't think they were going to choose me. Uh, and then right before I was actually about to accept a job in San Diego, I moved across the country and press pause on Mikey BBQ. They told me don't do anything drastic because you might be a finalist, you might get chosen. So um, much to made my wife upset, but I turned the job down in San Diego because there's a chance I might get on TV for the barbecue business. And then right before we were going to find out if we got chosen for the show, I got offered this other job to run this national monetary policy campaign. And they wanted to answer like after I would have, like before I found out about the TV show. So also causing some issues with my wife. I turned that job down too because I was hoping I was going to get chosen for the show. And then we did get chosen for the show. And so we filmed all of 2019. The show was going to air in 2020. We didn't know when. What was interesting about the show was that when we filmed it, we all thought it was just a show that was going to follow us as we like we had to quit our jobs on camera. So you like quit your job and focus on your business. They were just tracking like the ups and downs, the highs and lows of how that happened. But we filmed sort of like the end of 2019. They came to our house to film, and my wife that morning was like, "What if they came here and told us that we want some money for the business?" And I was like, "That's not going to happen because that's not what the show is about, right? That's just following us." But they did. Like they came and they filmed in the kitchen that day, and they were kind of recapping the year with us. They told us that they had chosen us out of the 6 businesses to give us $100,000 to help with the business. And so that was an amazing feeling. And we get into 2020, we have all these big plans, all these big plans. And then at the end of February, I get the wire notice that this money is going to wire into my account. I'm really excited. The very next day, I do an event in DC. On the way back from DC doing this event, the world shuts down because of COVID. And so all of our big plans kind of on pause. That money that came through was perfect because it was a way for us to be able to sustain ourselves through this period when at that time, 65% of our revenue came from online sales. I mean, came from in-person sales at events and stuff. And so 30% of our business was online and 5% was wholesale. And so losing 65% of your business overnight created a little challenge for us. And we're trying to figure out, how we're going to do this. So we were able to use some of those funds to increase our marketing, increase our e-commerce presence, and really try to grow that way, which comes with a lot of expenses as well. And so we're able to do that, and we're able to get that going. But we ran into a problem with like our local customers. We said we follow into all these local markets. We don't want to pay for shipping when we live in the same, general area as you. And so even though it was the pandemic and things were shut down, we found a retail space. We decided to open a brick and mortar retail store anyway. So we opened a barbecue supply store here in East Durham. And at that time, there was a lot of business over here. This was a neighborhood that's been historically a Black neighborhood. There were the touches of starting to have gentrification here, but there weren't a lot of business here. There's a lot of abandoned commercial buildings. So people thought I was crazy trying to be over here. And I tell people that's coming. We got to be patient. This is a community that has a vibe, and people love coming over here. So it's coming. But we also knew that store couldn't just sell barbecue sauce and dry rub. Right? You can't have a retail store with just that. So we expanded, started adding barbecue tools. We added charcoal and wood and grill tools and grill accessories. I met with a local guy who was a welder, and we started to develop grills and smokers to sell. So he already had some of these sold, but then I designed my own line of smokers that he built for me. And so I started selling my line of smokers and his grills and smokers in the store as well. So in addition to like our products and all the other stuff, we added this whole component to it. That started to shift because people started to come in as things opened back up. People started to come in and want to know, can I get ribs? Or can I get a barbecue sandwich? Or I could get something other than just supplies. And at that spot, we couldn't do it. And so we were looking for places to expand to a restaurant. I was already doing catering. I was already doing big events, traveling the country with my pig cooker, doing events for people. And so we're looking for a way to stay in East Durham and do a restaurant so we can add that component to it. Um, the place where we were at with the barbecue supply store was not allow us to transition that place into a kitchen. So we had already worked out with them what we would be able to get out of our lease and close that store down. We had some other restaurant projects that we thought we were having together. They all fell through. And one day, about a week before we were closing the store, a gentleman walked in and said, I know you know all the barbecue people. Do you know anybody who wants to open a barbecue restaurant? And I said, I do. And so he said, well, let's walk down and show this property. So we walked about 3 blocks down to this, what used to be a woodworking office and location that had been abandoned for about 12 years. And they were about to start rehabbing it. And they decided they wanted to put a barbecue restaurant in there. So they came to me and they asked me what it would take for me to say yes to being in here. I'm not a rich person. I don't have a lot of money. And so I said, look, I don't have the funds to like upfit a whole kitchen. So if you're willing to upfit the kitchen and hand me the keys to a ready-made space, I'll say yes. The next day they walked back in the store and said, we'll do it. Um, and so we closed that store down and moved to the rehab process up here. And then since we've been up here, so we expanded that retail store down there about 1,300 square feet. And now we're in over 3,000 square feet of space. We have the restaurant and the retail store combined. And as we were preparing to open it, we got some press, but somebody wrote an article about us telling people that the Cracker Barrel of barbecue was coming to East Durham because you're combining the elements of a grocery, like a store and a restaurant all in one. And so, but it was great. We opened in July. We opened the restaurant July 15th of last year. Started out doing really well. We were doing great. And then we kind of hit some snags. So one of the snags is, we never had a ton of capital to begin with, so we weren't really built to withstand like if something drastic happened to us. And unfortunately, something drastic did happen to us. The person who was opening the bar on the other side of the courtyard from us, and they also own a coffee shop down the street. Them and their partner had a split in their personal lives that became really dramatized. I won't go into all the details, but essentially somebody ended up going to jail. There was a whole bunch of stuff, and my friend who was opening the bar, they beat the case in court. They got all that stuff. It was done, but the other person had started to spread word that like I was a supporter of violence against women and all this stuff. And so we started losing business. So in September of last year, we had a bunch of catering gigs canceled because of what people were saying about us. Our average, we were going from like 110 tickets a day to 50 tickets a day because word was spreading around Durham that people shouldn't eat here because I supported violence against women. And so it took a lot of work. We ended up losing, almost $50,000 that month, and have been working really hard to sort of get through that. We kind of have weathered that storm. We got through that. The people are coming back out again. Our numbers are going back up. Our name, people have realized that what was being said about it wasn't true. And so we're trying to weather get through that. But we still have been a big battle for us to sort of fight through that. And during all that stuff, because we were losing money and I was doing everything I can to keep the restaurant open, we kind of lost. We weren't able to restock our sauces and rubs. I actually haven't had my sauces and rubs to sell since September of last year, and that's a big source of our revenue. I mean, just selling sauce and rubs alone can generate, almost $100,000 in revenue just by itself. And so without having that, it's been a challenge for us. And because of that, we also couldn't restock our grills and smokers. And so instead of people walking in and eating barbecue and looking at rows of grills and smokers that they could also buy, We've only been able to do them to order, which has sort of, we have to order, they get built to order, which takes, 2 to 6 weeks, depending on which one they order. And so it slows the process down. So we've lost a lot of revenue just from not being able to have that. So this campaign is really about helping us do a couple of things. One is to get our sauces and rubs back in stock, so we get that e-commerce revenue going again, to help us get our grills and smokers back in stock, so to get that piece of revenue going again as well. But also to just sort of help stabilize us, also to help expand. So we launched a couple months ago the first Pitmaster apprenticeship program in North Carolina. And so we have a young gentleman who is currently in culinary school, who is a pitmaster apprentice, who I'm training to be a pitmaster. And we want to be able to expand that program. So we work with local community college for that program and the state's apprenticeship program. And if a high school senior enrolls in that program and becomes one of our pitmaster apprentices, they can go to culinary school for free if they work in the program. And we pay our pitmasters apprentices. They start at $18 an hour, and they finish a 2-year program. They'll be making almost $23 an hour. So we pride ourselves here in paying our staff the living wage. One thing that we've been blessed with is a lot of the restaurants right here have high turnover. If any of you work in the restaurant industry, you know that there's a lot of high turnover in that. We have virtually the same staff that we started with is still with us today. And it's because we pay them a living wage, so they feel valued in how they're paid. They have the space here to sort of be themselves. Even people who have left to start their careers after they graduated college and getting into their field, they still come and hang out sometimes and just help out because they just want to be around. So that's the kind of environment we try to create here. The Pitmaster Apprentice Program is because we want to be able to, like, a goal of mine has always been to kind of train the next generation of Black pitmasters. Black pitmasters is kind of how barbecue really got going, but that's kind of been taken away from us as more and more white folks kind of have taken that space and become the basis of barbecue in this country. And so I want to be able to train that next generation of Black pitmasters, get these young Black men and women who want to be pitmasters to come in, get trained, learn how to barbecue, and then go off and start their own thing, either a franchise of us or their own restaurant somewhere, and have be trained here. That's what we want to be able to do. Despite some of the challenges I talked about, we've done well. Our numbers are still pretty decent, and we've also won a bunch of awards for our restaurants. So Eater Carolina's name is the best new barbecue in North Carolina. WRL, which is our local flagship news station, their voters poll, we won the best new restaurant. And there's some other awards that we've won that Tech been allowed to talk about that's coming up. We've won, a few more best barbecue awards that will be announced soon. And that's just in addition to, like, our sauces and rubs have won over 17 awards over the years. Our 4 world championships, 4 best in state, a bunch of local competitions. So, like, our products are award winning, our restaurant is award winning, and we're trying to continue to grow that. And this campaign will help us do that. And I want to briefly share my screen for a moment just to kind of give you a look at some of our numbers as we've grown. So I went to grad school. My master's degree is in real estate development. And so you do a lot of Excel workbooks. So I love Excel. And so the way I kind of been tracking a lot of our businesses, I do these quarterly, I've been tracking like quarterly sales for a long time. I kind of track that. So we can see our growth. And so we first started selling products in 2014. Our average quarterly sales were about $770. And all the way to this year, right now, our average quarterly sales are 108,000. So our quarterly sales have continued to go up each year. We had a little dip during the COVID years, but we've been climbing back up ever since then. We come over here to like our annual sale. In 2014, when we first started selling product, my goal was to sell $3,000 worth of product that year, and we did 3,077. And it was just all word of mouth. I would check on my car. And again, we grew that each and every year, 2020 was the first year that I did it full time without having another piece of employment. And we continue to grow. And again, 2023 is our best year ever, but the restaurant didn't open until July 15th. And we didn't really have our retail store for the first 6 months of that year either. And so that's a big year. And this year, we're through one quarter and almost, almost halfway through the second quarter, and our numbers are, we're going to blow last year out the water. So we are continuing to grow year after year, despite all the challenges, despite our challenges with access to credit. And so that's the story of Mike D's Barbecue and how we started, how we got to where we are here, and how these funds in this campaign will help us continue to grow and continue to make a difference here in East Durham, where our goal, in addition to hiring, paying a living wage, we try to keep as many of our dollars flowing in our local community as possible. So 85% of our employees live within 6 miles of the restaurant. And so that's one way that we're able to put money back to the local economy. We source a lot of our products from there too. So one of our most popular drinks, our sweet tea, our lemonade, and our fruit punch, they're made by a guy who sets up down the street from us in his hot dog cart. He grew up in this neighborhood, so like he's like the unofficial mayor of East Durham. He runs a hot dog cart called Kate's Cookout. He does our sweet teas and lemonades. Our wood that we source, we do real barbecue here. So we don't use any gas smoke, and it's all wood. And our wood source is from a local guy whose his wife has a business around the corner that sells soaps. And he has a local wood yard, and that's where we source our hickory, I think, oak from. So our wood comes from local. When we have special events, we source our meats from a place called First Camp Foods. It's right on the other side of the train tracks here in East Durham. And they source all their meats from all the local farms out North Carolina. On Sundays, we do collard greens. That's the only day we do collard greens for Sunday dinner. And we source those from a place called Happy Dirt, which is also across the tracks. And they source all their food from local farms across the state as well. So as much as possible, we try to keep our money flowing here in the local economy because that makes a much bigger difference. And so again, that's Mikey's Barbecue.
I love the evolution of your story, Mike. I do. And those numbers were not shabby either, right? So the investor side of me saw that spreadsheet and was like, okay, I see you. But what a beautiful story. I mean, truly, you took us on the journey and the evolution of how you got here. Um, and I love how with every opportunity, it brought you right back to, nope, I'm gonna make this thing work. This is my dream. This is my vision. And all roads are to making the business successful, right? You've proven to be employable, right? Job offers are coming to you left and right, but there's a bigger mission here that is destined for your future. And so that shines through in your story. And big up to your wife for staying patient. Because I know I know that could not have been easy, right? To hear you turn down 3 job offers. So kudos to her for standing beside her man and supporting you. That's what's up. Um, Miss Vivian said, love the vision. We've got some other comments. Rhonda said, this is epic. Heads up, shoulders back. And then Norris said, North Carolina, rise up. And Edward said, what a story. I agree. Like what a story. I love how you have always been resourceful, right? The rubs, the sauces, right? You on your Master P with the trunk, right? Selling the sauces out of the trunk, right? I love how you even pivoted into making the grills, right? So if I can't get the restaurant, we're gonna do all the other things, right? Outside of that, and still found a way to get a storefront, right? And make that happen. And so you have proven to be a very, very resourceful and good businessman. And sometimes life happens, right? And things happen that cause us to step back a little bit. But the key is that we always could then get our balance back and continue back on the path we were aiming to. And you've proven that. So congratulations to you. I mean, really, really mean that. And I welcome right, Mike D's with the grills out front, right, instead of the rocking chairs, and going into the store and we see all the pubs, right? And then we go to the restaurant and just grub. And so I want to see that happen for you. That's a beautiful, beautiful vision. So let's talk a little bit about the campaign. We know the monies are going to go to the probably first, it sounds like first you're going to focus on the e-commerce business, right? Getting that back up because that was a very good source of revenue based on what you said. I think you said something like, $50,000. You were making that in what frequency level?
So really, it could vary. So like it generally like before the TV show, before COVID, we could get 75 to $100,000 in sales just off of sauce and rub. Once the TV show aired, and the season finale of that TV show was October of 2020, and we did 25,000 that month alone. And so we have um, there's been times where like we run out of product and we got as soon as we got it in stock, we put out word and we run through that stock in 3 weeks. And so we can generate revenue at this point because of our growth and now having a store, the demand that's here in the store. When we first opened, we went through maybe 50 cases of sauce in 2 weeks when we first opened because people were coming in, eating at the restaurant and saying, I need that sauce, looking up and there's a wall full of sauce and they're just buying it left and right. So we can generate an additional 125,000 a year just on sauce and rub sale once we get it all back in stock. So now that would be our first thing is as soon as we have those resources, we can place the order because with our co-packer, we have to pay for that expense up front. So we have to pay people they don't produce it. So there's not pay when you pick it up. You got to pay and then they'll make it.
Okay. Okay.
First thing we're
I
going to do
understand
is
how
get
that works. Okay.
back in stock.
Wow. I mean, those numbers speak for the quality of the sauce, in my opinion, right? Sauce doesn't fly off the shelf like that if it's mediocre. I mean, this sauce must be fire. Wow. Okay, okay, I see you. Somebody got I hate that I can't get to these places that we talk to sometimes. Somebody got to go to Durham and bring me back some barbecue from Mike's, okay? Put it in a box, wrap it up in some foil real good and ship it overnight. Something. Man, that sounds really, really good. Okay. So the sauces, the rubs, and then hopefully getting the grill business back up and running, right? And then taking care of expenses just for day to day with the restaurant. I love how you're also, it's hard enough running a business, right? With staff too, right? I mean, gosh, you run a business with staff. I run a business and it's just me and Talisha, right? And so you got like a whole staff that you're paying attention to, and you found time to give back with this Pitmaster Apprentice program. I want to talk a little bit more about that because I think that is absolutely um, wonderful, first of all, that you're doing that, but also that I mean, these young people they're going to school for free when going through your program. How did you negotiate that for them? I mean, how did this all happen? I know you said, you want to keep Pitmaster in this culture. You don't want it to be lost, but how did you come up with this program and how did you make the connection to take it as far as you did with getting them the perks and the benefits on the back end that you're getting them?
Yeah, so Durham Tech is the community college that has this program, and they're actually about 2 miles from us. And so I had did a catering for them, and one of the people reached out to me about, they were trying to get more apprenticeship programs started through their college. So we had some meetings about it, and so between the community college and then sort of like the state community college system, and then like the state had its own apprenticeship program, state apprenticeship program. And so some of those perks are kind of part of the program, but there had never been one that was just focused on food. So a lot of them around like other skilled trades, like, welding and other things like that. But there hadn't been one that was really focused on food in this way. There have been some for like, hotels and sort of that
Mm-hmm.
management space, but there hadn't been one about this specifically. And so I told them my vision of trying to, train the next generation of Black pitmasters. And so they were like, well, what if we did a pitmaster apprenticeship program? And they're like, I was like, well, someone who was in your culinary program already works here. He's already my cook. I've already started training him on this stuff. And they said, well, he can be like your first apprentice if you want. And then you can start to sort of market it from there. And so I didn't know about the free school if they enroll, but they have to enroll, well, they have to become an apprentice before they enroll in Durham Tech. So it didn't apply to my current apprentice because he's already a student
Okay.
there. they're working here. But they explained that the way apprenticeship programs work here, that's how it works. Like if you join an apprenticeship program while you're in high school, you can then go to that community college for free.
That is wonderful.
I wanted to make sure that folks coming to be pit masters got that same experience. So we had to go through a whole process with them, break down like a job description, showing like here's the progression of every couple of months what happens. Here's like how their wages will increase over time as they add more skills to what they're doing. And when I told them that pitmaster apprentices start at $18 an hour, and then eventually get to just under $23 an hour by the end of the program, they were like excited because most of these apprentice programs don't pay that well at all for people.
Right.
So that kind of helped us sort of stand out and find out that there had never been a pitmaster apprenticeship program in the state of North Carolina. As much as this is a barbecue state, we're coming behind. Other states like Texas, there's like whole high school barbecue competition teams and stuff. But a state like North Carolina that's supposed to be all about barbecue, but to never have that kind of program, a little surprising. So we wanted to make sure that we got that going.
Very, very impressive. Very impressive. And again, very impressive that you are paying this high of a wage. I mean, we see in other parts of the country, people are not making that much, right? You get, let alone young people, but 50-year-olds are not making that much doing some jobs. And so the fact that you're running this business, you're doing all of these other things for the community, but you're also taking care of the people that work for you. And that matters. And that shows in your longevity, right? The fact that you don't have a lot of turnover, that shows in your staffing model, which means you've got consistency with processes, which means the food is going to taste the same every time we go in there, right? Because hands are not changing positions and all of that stuff. And the same smiling face is going to greet you and they're going to learn your name and all those things you love about a neighborhood restaurant, right? I can see how your restaurant fits the bill in that regard. Because the staff, good staff is everything for a business, especially a restaurant business, that matters. I've had some really good food and received some really bad service and never went back. So the service piece of it is as important as the good food.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so very good. We've got a few questions. Go ahead, guys, and put your questions in the Q&A. All right. Let's see. Bernard says, his question says, he says, how come there were no payments made for the first quarter of 2024 to the previous investors? What is the financial situation now? So Bernard, what were you looking at where you saw that? Are you looking at something on the campaign page? Give Bernard a second to respond. He said no on the investor side. So let's talk about this. What's Bernard referring to?
Yeah, so with Mainvest, what happens is every quarter we submit revenue reports to them, and then they tell us how much money that we pay to them, and we send them the money, and then they spread it out amongst um, the investors. And yes, for the first quarter of 2024, we have not submitted our financial report yet. We'll be working on that this week. So there have been a few cash flow challenges towards the end of this quarter. We had, in a week's time, we had a freezer and a refrigerator both go down at the same time. And so we've had to invest in repair folks to come in and look at those. And now we're about to have to spend a significant amount of money to buy new refrigerators and freezers. We had a period where Duke Energy took our power out for a couple of days. We lost a bunch of revenue with that, and we're waiting for their reimbursements to us to cover those loss periods. So we've had a couple of things that have happened in that first quarter that kind of impacted cash flow. We had to prioritize making sure that we kept employees paid and we kept food coming in. And so, but that first quarter payment will be made very shortly.
Very good. Very good. And just to fill everyone else in, Bernard is already an investor. So that's what that question was in regards to. Bernard already invests in this company. Thank you for that question, Bernard. Noree said you're 20 minutes away from him.
Oh, nice.
That sounds like that's going to be a weekend outing, Norris, right? You got to let me know how it was. Very good. Any other questions for Mike? So, Mike, I want to talk about the television show. So, what happened? What was the name of the show? What happened? Like, is this something we can find on Netflix to watch?
You can. It's not on Netflix. It's on if you have Discovery Channel. You can get like Discovery Plus. You can look for it. The name of the show is called I Quit. And so essentially, what they had been looking for was people who were starting businesses or running businesses, but also working full-time jobs and wanted to leave those jobs to focus on their businesses. So we had to quit our jobs on camera, and then they followed us around for a year, um, sort of tracking like the highs and lows of what happened. And that's what the premise of the show was. There were 6 companies from around the country. There was, me doing barbecue. There was a cooler company out in Utah, a dress shirt company down in Florida, a sweets company out of New Jersey, a wine company out of New York, and a couple who had bought like a lower level soccer club in New York were the different people that were on the show.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to try to catch that. Talisha just put the link in the chat for us so we can track that. That's really cool. Edward said, is there any other way to start the apprenticeship program? So, Edward, you mean if you wanted to learn how to be a pit master, but you're not there locally? Is that what you're asking? Edward, go ahead and put it in the chat. Are you talking about like for yourself or just elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, well, wait a minute. I can just say right now, we have the one apprentice in, and we're not adding another one just yet. We want to make sure that we've got enough capital in hand to hire another apprentice just to make sure that we protect and make sure that people can get paid. Um, Once we are ready to start adding more, we will open up a portal for people to be able to apply and to market, and it'll be mostly marketed to high school seniors who are looking to get into the food space and want to learn barbecue. But it's open to really anybody. Like once we start putting it out that we're looking for another apprentice, they don't have to be. They can be already out of high school. If you're not in high school, you don't get the free college component, but you might be able to get some other financial assistance with paying for the culinary program. But it's a partnership with Durham Tech, so whoever the apprentice is also has to enroll in their culinary program because it's on-the-job training paired with the culinary classes that you get as well.
Okay. Okay. Oh no, Edward, it sounds like the program is still in effect. So yeah. So it's not taken away. It's still there. Very good. So we know you need capital, right? That's it. That's the entrepreneur story, unfortunately, right? You need capital. What other resources would be helpful for you? I think it's cool that you already know and have relationships with the rubs and the sauces, right? So for that, it's just a matter of capital to get that ball running. A lot of times founders are looking for the connection for those things, right? They don't know how to get started. They're looking for the broker to help them. They're looking for the manufacturing plant to assist, but you know, you have those relationships. You've done that thing before. But what else do you need as a business to help propel you right to an air to a space where all cylinders are hitting, right? The rubs are out there, the sauces are out there, the store is out there with the grills, the restaurant is thriving. Like what else could help outside of the financial capital to help get you to what success looks like?
Yeah, so really for that, it's really just about continuing to get the word out there about us. There's a marketing component to it. So, we're known around the world for our sauces and rubs, right? We're starting to get more inquiries about our grills, right? So right now we're working on grills that are being shipped to New York. I just got an inquiry today about getting a grill shipped to Chicago. And so like word is starting to spread on that. The piece that we still are working on is despite the awards and stuff that we get for the restaurant, it's still spreading word that the restaurant is here. So people
Mm.
are so used to this part of East Durham being abandoned and commercial
Ah,
buildings empty that they still don't quite realize that stuff is happening over here. Like they don't quite realize that this road that we're on is full of Black businesses, right? So you have me here as a Black barbecue restaurant, then a Black bar right next to us, and then right next to them is Durham's first Black brewery. And so people haven't quite learned all that yet. So we're all working hard to sort of continue to spread the word about us. But that's probably the biggest thing that we need help with because as word spread about all that stuff, and it helps like in-store soft sales, the restaurant starts to get moving again, the grills and smokers start moving. So for us, it's just continuing to spread the word about us to anybody who hasn't heard about Mikey's Barbecue. Like we still get people coming out of town saying, "Oh, I didn't even know you guys were here."
Mm-hmm.
We also deal with one other challenge because this neighborhood has a lot of stereotypes about this neighborhood. And so there's still some people who, we've had some food influencers come through here and do like videos about us that have gone viral. And if you go read through those comments, well, all people are like, I'm not trying to get shot, I'm trying to get barbecue, so I'm not coming over to eat Durham. Right? So despite the work that we're trying to do to continue to build community here, there's still a marketing effort to let people know, like, you can come up here and eat barbecue. Like, it's okay. And that we're open. Like, this corridor is no longer abandoned. There are still some abandoned buildings, but this little 3 block radius here probably has the highest concentration of Black-owned businesses in Durham.
Wow.
So just continue to market that, hey, we're over here. You can come and spend almost your whole day in East Durham and get everything you want from breakfast to your medicines. There's a
Wow.
couple of bodegas you can do some shopping in, and candles and sweets and coffee and dinner and beer. So you can come and get everything in East Durham. So for us, it's just continue to market and spread the word that we're here and that we're open.
Yeah, you guys have to work together and get the media, maybe to do the local media to come do a story on all of you, right? To where you get that traffic in. And the other thing that just popped in my mind is I've been hearing, probably it's been about the last 6 months. Billboards are like billboards died out, right? As social media kind of did its thing, billboard kind of fizzled out, but billboards are still a thing, and they are supposed to be dirt cheap based on what I hear. That they are very, very affordable. And so, I giggle sometimes because we get so advanced with technology and all of this stuff, we forget old school ways still work, right? Um, and which is, something that we can't lose sight of. But like something like that, so thinking about those out the box things, because these days, social media ads are very expensive, right? Very expensive. So we got to kind of go back to those things that worked, right? I mean, go to the bike clubs, right? And give them a discount, or go to the churches and give them a discount. Like we gotta, with marketing, we gotta go back, especially community restaurant like yours, right? Where it's really local and you focus local, and you give back locally. Like I would see the community eating that up, right? I would only come to companies that had that social impact component like yours. But you got to get to some of those other local organizations to help push the effort. And I would focus on that versus trying to do those expensive advertising methods for now, because I still think they work, right? And it goes back to like the old school prayer line, right? You call somebody, I call somebody, they call you, right? I mean, we can make that work in all situations, to galvanize the community to come out. I do want you to tell us how can we special order a grill. You got to give us the website so we can look at the grill options, and decide what we want for this. At the summertime is coming, we all may need a new grill. So how do we look at that?
Yeah, so you can order those on the website. I put the website in the chat. You can click there. You can go to the website. You'll see that all the sauces and rubs are out of stock, so you can't order those, but you can order apparel, and you can see the grill options and smoker options. You can order them there.
Okay. So that's www.mikeD's, that's Mike DS barbecue bbq.com. MikeDSBBQ.com. Nice. Anonymous says revenue numbers sound good. What are the profit numbers for the last 4 quarters?
Yeah, so I don't have those right in front of me. I will tell you that in the year for 2023, we did not have a profit. We had a loss of $6,000 for 2023, which we expected, launching a restaurant halfway through the year. We had profitable years prior to that. So 2021, 2022 were profitable years, but 2023 took a slight step back as all our costs have gone up, payroll, all that stuff. And so, and hitting those challenges we hit in September and October with the other things that were out of our control kind of set us back a little bit. But we, first quarter this year, have still closing up those numbers. But I believe that we'll be, for this first quarter this year, that we were in the black. So that was, I just haven't finalized those numbers yet.
Very good. Very good. Jesse said, what is feasibility for delivery service to service customers that don't want to come to the brick and mortar? So are you working with the DoorDashes and all of those delivery services? I hear for some businesses, they can be really expensive with the fees and things. But are you doing some of that, or do you have your own delivery?
So at the moment, we don't do delivery, and that's because the DoorDash is a Uber Eats of the world. They take such restaurants already have a small uh, profit margin anyway, and they take usually about 30%. So we don't yet, but we are working with Bento Box. We're getting a new restaurant website that will be launching pretty soon, and we'll be able to do online ordering and delivery through that, where the fees won't be as much because they have a contract with DoorDash where we don't have to pay those fees. And so hopefully in the next month or two, we'll be launching the ability for people to online order and get delivery.
Nice. Miss Patrice says, when do you anticipate getting the supplies for the sauces and the rubs to be back online?
Really, it's as soon as we have the capital to do that. So to get all of our sauce and rubs and all the sizes back in stock, it'll cost us about $11,000. And that $11,000, once all those products are sold, will generate about $45,000 in revenue. And so we try to
Wow.
do those as many often as we can get them. So it takes about 4 to 6 weeks from the time we place the order to have them in stock. And so the place, our co-packer who produces all our stuff that we sell for the public for sauce and rub, they source all the ingredients. There's only 3 ingredients I have to source myself because of my spicy products. There's a couple of things that I use that nobody else uses that they produce for. And so I just source those, but they already have a bunch of it in stock ready. So really just about me having the capital to place that order, and 4 to 6 weeks later, we'll have sauce and rub frozen.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And that's not a long period of time. I mean, that's a pretty good turnaround time. Okay. And you've got the campaign is over on the 17th, right?
Yeah.
On the 17th of May. So you need the community to respond. So you can get at the very least get a couple of orders of the with the rubs and the sauces, because we know how much money that generates, right? In profit. So that's really good. Okay. We understand the assignment. What other questions do you guys have for Mike? While you guys are thinking of your final questions, I'll just jump in and add some of my final statements. Um, I love your story. I absolutely love your story. I love your tenacity through all of this, and your staying power. I love how you light up when you talk about barbecue and you talk about the restaurant. Like, I love everything about that. You can see that there's passion here, and I cannot wait for Norris to give us the 911 on how good this barbecue is, for real, for real. So I will be waiting for his report. Um, I also love how this business has other streams of income, right? So it's not just the restaurant. We've got the e-commerce side of this. And even within the e-commerce side, it's not just one product. It's rubs, it's sauces, it's grills. I love, when everything comes together, right? When you get the capital you need, everything's going to line up so nicely. The expansion of this business is already like the foundation of each tier is already being laid. And I just love that this success story on the other side is going to be a beautiful one, because you've spent all of this time laying the groundwork. And even when there was a glitch in the process, you still got a good plan. I mean, again, I think the fact that you already have the co-packer, that you already have the products, you know what they are, you have the recipe, like you understand that side of business. It's just about getting it up and running again. So many places struggle with so much more than that. And so you're so ahead of the curve there. And so I'm excited about what the future holds for you. Rhonda said, is there any chance of getting on the shelves of Food Lion, Piggly Wiggly, or Walmart?
So yeah, so we've been on those shelves before. So we were on the shelves of about 10 food lines across North Carolina in 2022. Um, I did not restock them because Food Lion was not paying. Uh, it took I had to pull my products from their shelves, and it still took an additional 8 months to get paid. Uh,
Mm,
so there were some challenges there. We ran into that we were in a Piggly Wiggly as well, not a whole bunch of them, but we were in one Piggly Wiggly that was in Sanford, North Carolina, and that person did the same thing where they didn't we didn't we let them sell out all their inventory, but we didn't restock them because he tried to not pay me as well. He tried to claim that I gave him all the products for free. Um, but they
because
hadn't even
that's the thing.
yeah,
What?
he couldn't even like accurately track sales because they never set the price up in the system. So I had sent friends to go and shop there, and when they would go to bring that up, the stock wasn't ringing up, so they were just manually putting them in as this like random grocery item. And so when I asked him for like a sales report, he's like, "Oh, we haven't sold any product." And I was like, "Oh, but I know you have because people have told me they bought it there." And he was like, "Well, we've never sold the product." And he tried not to pay, but he forgot that the cameras were here filming when I stopped that store, and I was mic'd up for our whole conversation. So when I reminded him that there was TV cameras there when I was there, and it was all recorded, then he quickly cut me a check.
They stay trying to get over on us. What is going on? What?
And we have tried to pitch Walmart a few times. We haven't been successful yet, but we will, once we get everything back in stock, we will keep trying.
Where's the touristy area in Raleigh, Durham? Like, what neighborhood is that where you, like, where as a tourist, right? Somebody's going and they're getting all the frou-frou shops and boutiques and all of those places. Like, could you get your items in those stores, right? So for the people who are scared to come to East Durham, let's bring the product to the neighborhood they're comfortable, right? And they're still buying the product. Like my mind says, go if your product is exclusive, right? And if it's as good as you say it is, let's put it in these smaller shops where you might even be able to mark it up a little bit, right? and and get it to that neighborhood as well. And then it also then scales outside of the city, right? Because if you're in the touristy area, touristy little boutiques, then they're looking for that taste of Raleigh, right? And that local fare, and they're gonna take it back home. Like if you can get into even one of the airport shops, right? Like one of those businesses that sell things. Just thinking about how you can scale this carefully, right? And responsibly
Right.
without
So
and drive traffic to that e-commerce store also because the website's going to be on the bottle and all of that.
yeah, so we are most of our retail partners. And I mentioned that we have retail partners in 27 states. All of those are in like small boutiques. So
Okay.
we focused our wholesale on smaller boutiques instead of like the big chain grocery stores where you can get lost on the shelf of hundreds of bottles of barbecue sauce. And so most of our retail partners across the country and in Canada are like smaller boutiques. And when we have product in stock here in Durham and Raleigh, like that's where they are in these like smaller shops. So downtown Durham is where people come. That's where the Durham Bulls Stadium is. That's where the DPAC, the Performing Arts Center is, where off Broadway shows come. And so there's a lot of gift shops around there that can carry the stuff when it's in stock. And then in a lot of like smaller markets. Like we have a chain of stores called like Butcher's Market that's around like
Mm,
Raleigh and Cary and Apex, and so they
okay.
carry sausage and rub as well. So like when we have them in stock, we get a lot of the local stores and like Happy Dirt, where I mentioned we get some of our college and stuff from. Like they're one of our distributors, so we're in stock, and they only distribute to like these types of small boutiques and stores. So when we have product in stock, it's moving to all these places. We have a couple of partners down the coast. So when people are coming down, we have great features in North Carolina. So when people are coming down that way, they can pick up product at some of those stores down there. So
Nice.
that's been our focus.
Very nice. Very, very good. Okay, okay. Our admin said also, she said, local Airbnbs that provide gift baskets and things like that would be nice as well. Yeah, again, that community, right? The community around the product is key, I think. Very good. Jackie says, have you considered Amazon if you haven't done so?
Yeah, so we were on Amazon before and fared pretty well on Amazon. And once we get our product back inside, like we're able to sell on Amazon. We have an Amazon storefront, so it's really just about getting those products back. And we can
It's really about getting the products. I mean,
sell them.
it all goes to getting the money to get the co-packer what they need. Yeah. All right. All right, community. You know what you're being asked to do here this evening. Please go to the campaign page, look at all of the information, do your due diligence, consider adding this investment to your portfolio. But you know what I'm going to ask, right? Share, share the campaign link. Mike needs a lot of people to see this before this campaign closes on the 17th, right? It's essential to his business that he get the money that he needs to get these rubs and these sauces produced. It truly, truly is essential. That is where he's going to see the business rebound and get back to a place of health. And so share this campaign with everyone that you know. I hate that the sauces are not already in stock because we be buying them out, right? But that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna make sure he sends us an email when they get back in stock so we can buy them out. But in the meantime, let's share the heck out of this campaign with everyone we know. If we know people in that Raleigh Durham or even within driving distance of Raleigh Durham, right, a reasonable driving distance, tell them about Mike D so they can go eat and hang out and, you know, come back and report how amazing the food was. And then they take that back to their friends in their area, and he'll have more people coming out to support physically as well, right? Um, and Mike, work with that consortium of businesses. You guys are sitting on magic right there, but you got to work together to get some of that media. The media may not come out for one, but they'll come out for the consortium. They really will, because that's a success story, right? You guys got to figure out how to make that happen, how to get the word out that you guys are there and you're waiting, right, to provide great service in a safe neighborhood. You got to figure out how to tell that part of the story to the rest of the community. But this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. What do you want to leave the people with today as your final statement?
Yeah, just want to say thanks for listening. Thanks for being on here. Thanks for not being an investor in a previous campaign. Just again, just continue to share the campaign. If you're able to invest, it's great. If you can't, please share. The more eyes on it, the better. And again, if you're here, come do some barbecue with us. And look forward to feeding you. Look forward to having you here. Let everybody know when sauce and rub is back in stock. So you can get that as well. But just continue to spread the word about Mikey's barbecue. We really appreciate it.
Very nice. And Norris said he actually got a chance to receive a bottle of sauce about 3 years ago at an NCC or NCCU football game where Mike had a 10 up. He says, so now he just got to get there so he can sample the meal and report back to us. I love it. So Norris, was the sauce fire? Was it, did it do all the things it needed to do? Let us know. This has been absolutely wonderful. Mike, thank you so much. And congratulations in advance, right? For everything you've already done and for everything you're going to do to make this bigger. He said it was fire. He gave it 4 fires too. He said, no, he said the sauce is fire, y'all. Um, Thank you for taking care of your community. Thank you for loving on your community. Again, thank you for loving the work that you do. Um, I'm excited to have you at the helm of bringing the pitmaster phenom back to our culture. I'm a fan of the barbecue grill. I used to love when Al Roker would always go and do those pit master competitions and all of that stuff. Like I would watch all of that. Like that was super cool. But you're right, you started to see the face of pit masters change. And we gotta hold on to some of those traditions in our community. So good for you for keeping that going alive. And thank you for coming here and sharing this with us. Thank you for having an investment crowdfunding campaign. I know it's a lot more work in addition to all the stuff you're trying to do, but thank you for doing that to allow the everyday person the opportunity to invest in you and help you move this wonderful business along further. So thank you very much, sir. And super, super excited. All
Thank you.
right. Okay. Have a good one. Good night, everyone.